Imagine walking into a place where everyone looks at you not for who you are, but for what you wear. Where a single glance decides your worth, and respect is sold only to those who can afford it. This is not just a story about a man in old clothes. It's a story about how society often measures people by appearance, forgetting that true value lies in the heart, not in the wallet. Today, you will witness something powerful. A moment when a billionaire disguised as an ordinary man was humiliated by those who judged too fast, and defended by someone who had nothing to lose. A homeless boy with a heart, richer than gold. As you listen, imagine if it were you being looked down on, ignored, or treated like you didn't belong. How many times do we pass someone on the street and assume their story? How many times do we forget that every human being, rich or poor, deserves dignity? This story will open your eyes. It will make you question what it truly means to be wealthy, because wealth is not in your clothes, but in your kindness. If this message touches you, don't just move on. Take a moment, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this video. Together, we can make this world a place where no one is judged by appearance, but by the light within their soul. Now, let's begin. The story of the man who hid his identity, and the boy who revealed humanity. The man in old clothes. In a quiet city morning, a man dressed in worn-out jeans and a faded gray hoodie walked slowly down the wide street lined with luxury stores. His shoes were dusty, his beard slightly unkempt, and yet his eyes, calm, intelligent, and observant, told another story. This man was Michael Hawley, a billionaire who had built his empire from nothing. But today, he wasn't walking as a billionaire. Today, he was walking as an ordinary man, testing the world around him. Michael had decided weeks ago to hide his identity and live anonymously for a few days. He wanted to understand how people treated others based on appearance, not status. After years of seeing fake smiles in business meetings and empty praise from those who wanted his money, he wanted something real. He wanted truth. As he reached the tall glass doors of Lumina Luxury, one of the most famous designer stores in the city, he paused. Inside, people moved elegantly between shelves, holding expensive handbags and trying on watches worth thousands. Michael took deep breath and entered. Immediately, silence fell. The soft classical music in the background continued to play, but the atmosphere shifted. The saleswoman behind the counter, dressed in a sharp black suit, looked him up and down with an expression of polite disgust. "Sir, may I help you?" she asked, emphasizing "sir" with a tone that clearly meant the opposite. Michael smiled gently. "Yes, I'm looking for a gift. Something special." The woman exchanged glances with her colleague and forced a smile. "Our products are quite exclusive. Maybe you'd prefer to check our outlet section down the street?" Michael's eyes softened. He didn't react with anger. "I'd like to see this watch," he said, pointing at a luxurious display of a gold timepiece with diamonds. Her smile disappeared. "That model is reserved for our premium clients. It's worth $45,000. "That's fine," he said calmly. "Can I try it on?" Her voice turned sharper. "Sir, please." "I think you're in the wrong place." The other clerks giggled behind her. One whispered something, and they both laughed softly. A little boy sitting near the entrance looked up. He was about 12, thin, wearing torn clothes and holding a small cardboard sign. Asterisk hungry but trying to stay kind. Asterisk the boy, named Liam, often sat near the store, hoping for leftovers or kindness from strangers. As Michael tried to stay calm, the saleswoman raised her voice. "Security. Please escort this man out before he makes our clients uncomfortable." The guard approached. But before he could touch Michael, a voice echoed from the entrance. "Hey, don't talk to him like that." Everyone turned. It was Liam, the homeless boy, standing there with courage in his small, trembling hands. His eyes burned with honesty. He didn't do anything wrong, Liam said. He just asked to see a watch. You shouldn't treat people bad because of their clothes. The saleswoman frowned. Mind your business, boy. This man doesn't belong here. Liam stepped closer. Neither do I. But that doesn't mean we're less human. The room fell silent again. The shoppers watched. Some whispering, others pretending not to care. Michael looked at Liam and saw something pure, something he had been searching for in boardrooms and billion-dollar deals. Humanity. He gently placed his hand on Liam's shoulder. It's okay, son, he said softly. Some lessons take time to learn. But then, without raising his voice, he looked back at the saleswoman and said, Do you know what this watch really represents? Not money, but respect. Something you clearly sell, but don't understand. Her face turned red. She crossed her arms and muttered, You can't afford it anyway. Michael smiled. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small black card, the kind only a few could recognize. The symbol of Halley Enterprises was engraved on it. The air froze. Actually, he said quietly, I own this brand. The woman's mouth opened slightly, her voice breaking. Whoa, what? Michael turned to Liam. Come with me. They both walked out together as the staff stood frozen. The same people who had just mocked him now stared, speechless. Outside, under the golden sunlight, Michael crouched next to Liam. You stood up for me, he said. Most people wouldn't. Why? Liam shrugged. Because it was wrong. My mom always said, when you see wrong, say something. Michael nodded slowly. Your mom raised you well. What's your name? Liam. Liam, Michael said. How about lunch? My treat. The boy smiled shyly. Really? Really? As they walked toward a nearby cafe, people passed them without knowing that the man in the old hoodie was a billionaire, and the boy beside him had just taught a lesson worth more than all the watches in that store. Michael looked at Liam and thought, asterisk imitize, the richest hearts wear the poorest clothes. Asterisk. The true lesson. Michael and Liam sat across from each other. In a small, cozy cafe. The boy looked uncomfortable at first, unsure if he should even be there. Michael smiled gently, pushing a plate of food toward him. Eat, he said. You deserve it. Liam hesitated, then took a bite. For a moment, his eyes closed in relief. He hadn't eaten a real meal in days. Michael watched in silence, thinking about how something so simple could bring such gratitude. After a while, Liam spoke quietly. You're not just anyone, are you? Michael chuckled softly. Why do you say that? Liam pointed at the black card still lying on the table. Because people like her don't get scared like that unless it's someone big. Michael looked at the card for a moment, then put it away. Let's just say, I've seen both sides of life. The one where people bow to you, and the one where they walk past you. Liam nodded slowly. I've only seen one side, the one where people don't look at you at all. Those words hit Michael harder than any insult he had received that day. For a moment, he said nothing. Then, quietly, he asked, Where's your family, Liam? The boy looked down. My mom died last winter. She worked at a diner. My dad left before that. Since then, I just tried to make it. Michael felt his chest tighten. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a folded piece of paper, and wrote something on it. This is the address of a shelter I fund, he said. They'll take care of you. And if you ever want to go to school again, tell them Michael Halley sent you. Liam's eyes widened. Wait, you're asterisk, that asterisk Michael Halley? The man from the news? Michael smiled softly. Yes, but today, I'm just a man who's grateful you reminded him what kindness looks like. Liam shook his head in disbelief. You could buy the whole city? But you walked into that store dressed like someone who... Doesn't matter, Michael finished. Exactly. I wanted to see the truth, to remember that money can buy walls, not hearts. At that moment, a woman approached their table. It was the same store clerk, her eyes full of shame. She had followed them after realizing who he was. Mr. Holloway, she said quietly. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't know who you were. Michael looked at her for a long second. Then he spoke calmly. That's the problem. You only respect people when you know who they are. Her face turned pale. She lowered her head. You're right. I was wrong. Michael took a deep breath. I'm not here to ruin your job, he said. But I want you to promise something. The next time someone walks in who doesn't look rich, treat them like they matter, because they do. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I will. Michael stood up, signaling Liam to follow him. As they walked outside, the afternoon sun painted the sky with orange and gold. Michael stopped near a fountain and turned to the boy. You changed my day, he said. Maybe even my life, Liam frowned. I didn't do anything. You did what most people forget to do, Michael said softly. You stood up for what's right. You saw a person, not a price. Tag. Liam smiled a little, embarrassed. My mom always said, be kind even when no one's watching. Michael nodded. And because of her words, you made a difference. He pulled out his phone, called his assistant, and said, arrange a meeting tomorrow with the city shelter director. I have someone special to introduce. The next day, Liam stood nervously in a new pair of clothes Michael had bought for him. They walked into the shelter together. The director greeted them warmly. This young man, Michael said proudly, reminded me that character is the only wealth that never loses value. Liam looked up at him. You really mean that? I do, Michael said. And from now on, I want you to help me. We'll start a program for street kids who want to rebuild their lives. You'll be my first assistant. Liam's mouth fell open. Assistant, me? Michael smiled. Yes, you have something most people don't heart. The boy's eyes filled with tears, but this time they weren't from sadness. They were from hope. Months later, the Lumina luxury store received an invitation to a charity gala hosted by Howley Enterprises. The clerk, now more humble and reflective, attended nervously. When Michael took the stage, he began his speech with a story. A few months ago, he said, I walked into one of our stores dressed as an ordinary man. I was turned away. But a boy with nothing stood up for me. That boy is the reason we're funding 50 new shelters today. The audience clapped, many with tears in their eyes. Cameras flashed. Liam, now clean, smiling, and proud, stood next to Michael on the stage. Michael placed a hand on his shoulder. Remember, true luxury isn't gold or silk, it's kindness. And the richest people are those who give when no one is watching. The crowd stood, applauding louder and louder. The clerk wiped her eyes, realizing how deeply those words reached her soul. Outside, as the night lights glimmered on the city skyline, Liam whispered, You changed my life. Michael smiled and replied, No, Liam, you changed mine.